Welcome everyone to the first event in the Support SA Talent Ace Cycles Virtual Road Cycling Series, presented by Doolhof Wines and Karen Beef. Now, just before we get going, I'd personally like to thank you for all the donations which have started to stream into our family. The last time I checked, we've already passed the 20,000 Rand mark, and that's just this afternoon. I'm really sorry I can't be with you tonight commentating, as the signal up here where I'm based near Palabora is, to say the least, not very strong. But I'm going to hand you over and Mushenbrook, the show over to you.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Support SA Talent Ace Cycles Virtual Road Cycling Series. The race has begun. We're almost 2 minutes into the race. We ran a bit late on the live streaming. The race today is brought to you by Doolhof Wines and Karen Beef. So a very big thank you to our sponsors who have contributed to making this race possible. I am joined today by team owner and team manager of Team Office Guru Under 23 Racing Team, Jamie Taylor. Jamie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Miles. Sorry we're a little bit late, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Joys of trying to run a Zoom conference and a Zwift session across YouTube while we're both in remote locations. But yeah, 2 minutes into the race, decent lineup, some big names sitting in their houses, making a lot of noise and producing a lot of sweat. And yeah, I think we're in for a very good, exciting race for the next 40-odd minutes.
Yeah, so thank you to all the South Africans coming on board and getting involved. There's over 100 South African cyclists taking to the start line. We're currently watching Kent main screen. We are today taking part in one of the flattest races or circuits on Zwift. It's a total of 32 kilometers, so it's definitely going to be flat and fast. We can see that Kent pushing out a pack of watts there, 358 watts. His heart rate at the moment is 172 beats per minute, so you can see he's putting out a very good effort. He knows exactly what his FTP is, his functional threshold power, and this is your FTP is how much power you can push for roughly 1 hour. In terms of this effort, it's going to be anything between 30 and 40 minutes. So he's going to be judging his effort very nicely. So Kent packing out a very good effort there, staying towards the front, 56th place at the moment. Jamie, which few of your riders are actually taking part in today's race? I know Travis Barrett, you said he's taking part?
Yeah, so names that lined up out of the 6 guys. We actually had all 6 lined up, but unfortunately Dylan Girdlestone had a technical issue joining the meetup, so he's not actually currently in the race. So we've got Travis Barrett, Alexander Vorsdale, JP Lloyd, Andrew Edwards and Ryan Terry all lined up, and yeah, ready to apply their trade in their homes as opposed to applying it on the tar, which is more the norm for us.
It's very cool that we've actually had to adapt to this new type of racing, virtual racing. We can't head out the road. We can't head out onto the road, nonetheless. But this is a new way of doing things. Do you think it's something that's actually out to stay, or do you think we're actually going to be out racing on the road quite soon?
Look, I think personally, I was never a big, I don't know if it's a generation split of, my racing background, but I've never personally been a big fan of riding the bike on the indoor. I don't do enough riding to warrant sitting in my garage, staring in a garage door. But strangely enough, being forced into a position where we've had to embrace the technology, it's actually grown on me quite quickly. And speaking to a lot of the guys that haven't used the platform previously, it's something that they have embraced. I think there's definitely a future for virtual racing. None of us know at the moment, I said to somebody, it's like trying to call the sell-by date on milk before the cow's even born, by trying to plan ahead and trying to look at race calendars and seeing if there's an opportunity for us to do any normal racing on the road. The reason that these guys started racing bicycles in their infant stages was to get that competitive blood boiling, and I think this is an opportunity for those guys to fire those engines. And it's a short race, it's action-packed, so it's more like a crit style race. The viewers can tune in for an hour, and you've seen some good quality racing in a short space of time.
So today's race, very short, flat, and fast. It's almost like a 20-minute FTP test. We can see some of the riders that are taking part in today's race down on the right-hand side. Next to Kent's name, we can see there, I saw Coach Nick Port there. I saw Devon May and his brother. We've seen quite a few Cape Town riders. David Garrett there up in the mix. We've seen, obviously we've mentioned Travis Barrett, the Cape Town Cycle Tour winner for 2020. Jamie, I actually wanted to ask you, is Travis the youngest rider to ever win the Cape Town Cycle Tour?
It's actually it's kind of a double-edged answer. A lot of people have asked this in the past, so we did go and do a little bit of homework and spoke to Dave Belez, who's obviously the man behind the scenes who's been putting that race together for numerous years. There has been somebody younger than Travis that has had the quickest time, but he actually started in the group behind the elites. He was 18 years old at the time. His name kind of skips my mind. And he rode from the A bunch across to the elite bunch and finished with the elite. So although he didn't win the race, he wasn't in first place, he actually had the quickest time. So Travis still qualifies to be the youngest winner of the Cape Cycle Tour. I think in second place was one of the Day brothers, and I think he was 21 and some change when he won it.
Sure, that's some good information, but that's quite a good achievement. I see David Murray there. He rides for the Enza cycling team alongside Nolan Hoffman. So it's good to see David also adapting to the times and coming on board and joining today's race. It's nice to actually have Phil Liggett as a brand ambassador for today's race. A percentage of your donation goes towards the prize pool. So there's a donation that goes towards the Phil Liggett Foundation, which helps fund South African cyclists on the world stage to go and compete internationally. So if you are generous enough to make a donation, please head over to fundyourpassion.co.za and make a donation to the Phil Liggett Foundation. There are guys that have already made donations and they are going on to the Hall of Fame. So if you look here on screen, the guys who have donated already are on the Phil Liggett Hall of Fame. So become part of the Phil Liggett Hall of Fame, and you can go into a draw to win a private hosting and wine tasting with Phil Liggett at the Doolhof Wine Estate. Doolhof Wine, one of our sponsors for today. If you are looking to purchase some wine, you can head over to their website and use the promo code, which is ProTouch, and you can get up to 50% discount on your wine purchase. So head over to doolhofwine.com and use the ProTouch promo code to be able to get some discount on some wine. So thanks to Doolhof Wine for coming on board. Karen Beef, also one of our presenting sponsors today. So thank you to them. But yeah, Jamie, what's happening in today's race? 32 kilometers. They're already 7.8 kilometers in. You can see Kentia going at a whopping 51k an hour. So very, very flat and fast.
Yeah, look, I think, the flat sections, I don't know if it makes it easier or harder. I personally find it harder just to ride consistently on the flats because, a little bit of rolling just gives you a little bit of respite, a chance to change your tempo, chance maybe to change your body shape on the bike. And traditionally you'd be doing that without thinking about it on the road, where you're sitting and you're essentially just using your quad muscles to drive this for the next hour. I think there's going to be a lot of heavy legs. If you look at the nice split between the field, you've got a group of up-and-coming youngsters kind of blending in with the old guard. If you look across the start list, the David Murray's, I think one of the benefits of having a virtual race with David Murray is you don't have to listen to him for a few hours moaning in the bunch. So I'm sure that's something most of the riders are looking forward to. But you've got the likes of Peter Seifert, you've got Kat Fouchier, guys that have cut their teeth in the sport many, many years ago, are still around, are still hell of a competitive, and on most days are capable of giving any cyclist a good run for their money. So I think the blend of the two generations is going to make for some interesting racing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest benefits. I mean, the pros can race the vets. I know the vets are always chirping the pros that they're faster and they're stronger. So this is a kind of a platform where they can prove it, I guess. So yeah, it's a great concept. You should check that Kent heading up to 500 watts, 400 watts. He's whacking out a massive effort. Kent, came 4th overall at this year's Tour of Rwanda. So he's no stranger to climbing hills, but he's going to have to relate that that kind of power onto today's flat race. He has been a podium finisher in the individual time trial at the national championships. So this is all just about your power to weight. That's how these platforms pretty much calculate how fast you're going. It takes pretty much your current power output and it divides it by your weight. So the weight you'll put into the Zwift system, and according to your power, according to your weight, you'll give you a power to weight ratio, and that's essentially how fast you're going on the platform. So there are sometimes chance takers where you can put your weight lower than what it actually is, but we're taking today that everyone is kind of legit, and there is something called Zwift Power which kind of confirms that. So I'm not sure exactly how that works, but Zwift Power confirming all the information, and that goes into a kind of a results kind of table, and that's where we can tally up all the points. So a nice variety of riders on the start line today. Kent Main rides for a professional continental team. We have guys from club teams. We have vet riders. So it's pretty awesome to see this big pool of riders. I think I saw there Andres Nagiri also taking to the start line. So there's quite a nice small group that's formed up front here. We can see that there's a massive amount of riders on today's start line. So the South Africans are getting put together with kind of the whole world. So who's ever entered today's race is on the start line, and the South Africans are having to race them as well.
I see on the list there, Miles, one of the Day brothers is actually in this race. I'm not sure if it's Tyler or Dusty. And yeah, there's a couple of youngsters that are coming through the ranks from the juniors that are in here as well. I just saw Van der Rohe's name pop up, probably the self-professed quickest vet in the A bunch in South Africa. Also a guy with an incredible ability to win races. He's a consistent rider on Zwift. He's a consistent rider on the road, and definitely somebody to take seriously. Something we do like about this kind of format is it negates a lot of the tactical ability that teams have riding together, purely because it's a short distance. Most guys can hang on, and in a race like this, you might have a small group going off the front that might have 20 seconds on everybody else, and that race can be gone. To give you an idea how most of these guys start in the starting blocks, you don't actually see it on the live feed, but their bicycle power would be sitting at about 500 watts about 5 seconds before the bikes are released from the starting pens, and the guy would go from kind of 0 to 500 watts immediately. The guys that haven't done this before and obviously don't know the tricks of the trade, if you wanted to start like you would in a traditional bike race, you'll lose 10 seconds before you blink. So it's almost like watching the start of a MotoGP race where the guys have got the revs on their bikes up and they literally drop a gear and they're up to 100 kilometers an hour. These guys probably up to 50 kilometers an hour. But there is tactics involved, and by no means is this a TV game experience.
Speaking of Van der Rohe, the area is I think has been distance off the back. He's riding with Gareth Kirsch there, another very, very strong cyclist. But Van der Rohe rides for the Hausberger Specialized Vets team. And yeah, like you say, he's been racing on Zwift, or riding and racing on Zwift most of the lockdown period. So Vanna, very familiar with the platform, and yeah, he's no stranger to cycling. He finished second in the Sport SA Talent Road Cycling Series in the V8 category in 2019, just behind Adolf Kricher. So yeah, I mean the vets category is massively competitive in South Africa. But there we go, Van der Rohe, a very, very strong veteran cyclist. Just looking for a few other guys down the list here. Who else have we got? I heard Ryan Gibbons was taken to the start line, the South African national champion. I haven't seen his name on the sheet yet, but I'm wondering if he's on the start line. I'm going to search his name here to see if we can find him. He's the South African road racing champion. He won the 2020 title down in Nelspruit, was it, Jamie?
Swatini.
In Swatini.
Yes, a jersey that he took away from Daryl Impey. So between the South African boys and the pro teams in Europe are now taking turns in using the jersey. Daryl's obviously flown the flag very, very well for South African cycling, and has been a great ambassador for the sport and for putting South Africa, or helping put South Africa on the map. But I think Daryl himself realised it was time to kind of pass the baton and give it to somebody else to now, carry the flag for us. And I think Ryan Gibbons is a great guy that's worked really, really hard to get to where he is, and I think a worthy recipient of our national jersey.
Well, there he is on screen. He is part of the race today. I have found him. He rides for the NTT World Tour team, our South African national champion, Ryan Gibbons. I mean, Ryan Gibbons is pretty much the pinnacle of where every youngster wants to be. Whether you're in the Office Crew Runner 20 racing team, you're in the Pro Touch Continental team. I mean, Ryan's racing at pretty much the top level of cycling. So a great ambassador for the sport. You can see he's there in his special World Tour NTT cycling kit. We're actually looking at his screen right now, so let's just go a little bit above him. You can see, so the game has actually made this kit for their team, which is quite incredible, that they can actually generate these type of kits in there. On the Zwift platform, we are, there he is. Look at that side view of Ryan. He's on his BMC bicycle there.
Is he got a little bit taller while he's been in lockdown, or is this an inaccurate view because it's an avatar?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe. I mean, if they can make his cycling kit quite accurate, I'm sure they'll be able to generate his own personal avatar.
Another vet surrounding him, Daniel Rodriguez, a guy that rides for New Power. It's a vets team that generally have done very well on the road scene. They've put together a team of strong vet boys and are a hell of a competitive. They've actually got a gentleman by the name of Sheridan Miraz in there who's got a background in World Superbike racing, also a hell of a fit. Guys that are very competitive. I've seen them in Zwift races before, and they're always there and thereabouts. So, it's nice to see such a blend of different riders lining up today.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you can see our World Tour rider, Ryan Gibbons, South African national champion, racing against our vets. I mean, where would you get that on a normal day other than going out on a social group ride? Jamie, are you familiar with the Cape Town racing scene? I know I saw David Garrett's name there. He rides for the Heartleaf cycling team. But yeah, I mean, I know the Cape Town scene is massive, but I'm not really too familiar with it. Do you know some riders down there?
I don't think I can add any value there, Miles. Probably as much as you. Kind of the only time really that the two provinces interact is either at national level or maybe one or two tours a year, where historically we're exposed to the guys from Alpha Bodyworks. Always have a good battle with them. Albia Kruger came from that team, who now rides for Pro Touch. Byron Munton, who's now applying his trade, I think he's in Spain. So there's definitely some good riders. Obviously, the amount of beautiful countryside that they have versus what we have in Joburg, they're a little bit more blessed. But I don't know the guys well enough to add too much value to the background of their careers.
Thanks, Jamie. I didn't. I'm not too familiar with the Cape Town scene. Just trying to follow some riders. Yeah, we're trying to. Someone's just we're not following a couple of. I'm not sure of which ladies are racing today. I know Stacey Paul has dialed in on our Zoom call, but I also saw Catherine Colleen there on the list as well. So I'm just trying to find some lady riders which we can follow as well. So it's great to see ladies, men, all getting involved for today's race.
I think what's exciting that's happening also behind the scenes is you've obviously got your traditional road teams which ride together in the same kits on the general day, week in, week out. And then what the guys have started doing on Zwift is almost colluding between themselves, and they've put together their own miniature Zwift teams. So sometimes you'll see next to the guy's name, it will either have his pro team that he rides for, or it might actually have his Zwift team. So what these guys do is they compete in multiple disciplines across the world, where it might be a team time trial, it might be an individual time trial, it might be what we saw a couple of weeks ago in the virtual Tour de Suisse. And these guys, they try and get in as much. They enjoy the platform. They take in as much racing as they can, and they've definitely learned the tricks of the trade, how to race a virtual bicycle.
Brilliant. So we're just in. We do have a list of riders. Well, the list of lady riders nonetheless, which we can. There's Kathy Colleen, Zanny Rousseau, and Joe van der Winkel are some of the confirmed riders. So let's just head over to one of the screens. I have to find them on my phone and then switch over to the actual race. So it's quite difficult when you're trying to follow these riders on these platforms. But yeah, just hang with us and we can.
It is also a difficult environment because you've not only got the South Africans in this race, you've obviously got a lot of internationals as well. It's a big field. I mean, you can see there you're sitting on Jo van der Winkel's feed and she's sitting 220th. So, yeah, there's a bucket full of bikes on the road today. It's big fields. The guys don't stand out. But it's nice to see that the ladies are lining up in conjunction with the guys. If anything, it helps build the sport of lady cycling in South Africa. Between me and you, the quality of the ladies that we've got will give most men a good run for their money on Zwift.
100%. I mean, I saw an interview with it's our national champion's name. Sorry, I just went blank there. Ashley Moman-Pasio. I actually saw an interview with her the other day, and she was explaining her FTP. And I mean, she didn't really give away her weight, but she's an extremely light human being. You just have to look at her. But her FTP was close to 290 watts. So I mean, if she would probably drop me on a good day.
No, she'll drop you on a good day. So she'll drop you on a bad day.
Well, there we go. So thanks, Jamie. You have some faith in me and my cycling ability. At least I know I'm not getting signed anytime soon to Office Guru. But yeah, no. So these ladies are really talented. They have lots of power, and yeah, it's incredible to see. Like, I mean, you can compare with just your power to weight. If you do an FTP test, which is your functional threshold power, which you can hold for 1 hour, and you divide that by your weight, that's kind of the universal number that we can compare from person to person, how strong they are as bike riders and cyclists. So we're watching Jo van der Winkel's screen here. I think she has been on the podium a few times at the national championships. Jo trains with the men on a daily basis, and on the engine ride, which most of these riders sometimes do, she's right up there. She's no stranger to attacking and putting her head in the wind. So she is 218th out of 513 riders that have started today's race. Flat and fast, 32 kilometers. I mean, they've just reached halfway. So you can see the small group that Joe's in at the moment. So let's head over to the front of the race. I'm going to look for Kent main screen again. I'm sure he's up there in front. If he's not, you'll have to find someone else. But let me just search for Kent.
Yeah, just an interesting story, Miles, with Jo. So she actually retired from cycling, went away, became a mom, I think, had 2 children, spent time off the bike, and the kind of the buzz of cycling never really went away. So she's kind of the poster girl for moms that ride bikes, that she can still raise children, have a full-time job, and race a bicycle competitively. So it's nice to see, people that aren't full-time professionals that are still being able to apply their trade on the road.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's super mom, super worker, super cyclist, all in one. So that's an amazing story. I'm just going to bring up the Zoom screen here. So this is Stacey Paul on our screen. We weren't able to actually log into her Zwift profile. It kept kicking me out and pushing me back to my profile, which is still at the start line. That's kind of how we have to do it. I have to be part of the race and then log into people's screens that are part of the race. So the reason why you saw me still on the start line is because I'm not actually pedaling. I'm trying to commentate. So Stacey, I think her profile's on private, which is why we can't look at her screen, but she has logged into our Zoom call, and there she is suffering on her bike. So yeah, you can see there Stacey Paul. She's from the Bestmed TEG ladies team. Also works full-time, and we're looking at Ken main screen, but Stacey's on the Zoom call there. So let's maybe log into Kent's screen there. Let's see how he's looking there on the Zoom. There he is. There's Kent. He's right up there. He's in 37th position out of 513 riders. But there's a small group here that's now up front. 21 Ks into the race, going 50 kilometers an hour, packing out 330 watts. His heart rate, 170 beats per minute. Kent, I think he's still in about zone 4, zone 5. He's definitely still got another kick to him. If a few riders starting to put in a few attacks according to his heart rate there, I'm sure he's definitely got another gear which he'll be able to put into and whack out a few more watts if they do start attacking. So some people don't display their heart rates. The reason being is that most of our indoor trainers communicate to our systems via Bluetooth, and most heart rate monitors communicate via ANT+. So if you do want to display your heart rate on these virtual platforms, you do have to purchase a Bluetooth heart rate monitor or buy an ANT+ adapter for your laptop. So just something to take note of. So some people won't have their heart rate displayed because of that reason.
Yeah, Miles, I'm just going through that list of that front group. I mean, you've got a lot of big names in there. Ones that pop up. Youngster, actually still I think he's a second-year junior, a gentleman by the name of Travis Stedman, a Durban-based rider. I think he was a podium last year in the Tour of Ireland. If you look at the guys historically that have done well in the Tour of Ireland, 99% of them move on to Pro Tour contracts, the likes of Geraint Thomas. There's some big names that have come out of the Tour of Ireland. You've also got, I see David Garrett's in there, also a big name in South African cycling from the past. He was one of the, I think he won the vets category at the Tour of Good Hope the week before the Cape Cycle Tour, so you've got him in there as well. You've also got a name by the guy called Brad Guveris. We're talking about the Cape Town-based riders. There's a guy with a hell of a kick on him, and somebody that actually made a big name for himself in the Zwift scene. NTT, or previously known as Dimension Data, what they do is annually they used to host a virtual competition where riders could enter in from all over the world, and they would then place one of the virtual riders into a full-time Conti contract for the guy to be based overseas. So I think the previous year, Martin Laverick, I think he's a Slovenian or from that side of the world. He's still involved with NTT today. Brad Guveris, I think, got into the final maybe 5 or 10 riders in a couple of the years that he's been in. He won the crit at the SA Champs at the start of this year. So he's actually the South African under-23 criterium champion. A bit of a tongue twister. As well as he had a contract to go over to race in Spain. Unfortunately, the COVID had an impact on his travel and everything else. So I'm actually under the impression he's still based in Cape Town waiting for travel lockdowns to be released. But a quick finisher, and definitely somebody that you should take seriously for today.
Yeah, that's actually true. Our national criterium champion. So we have our national road race champion and our national criterium champion in today's race. So yeah, we actually logged in now to Coach Nick Portscreen, another veteran cyclist who has been, I mean, he's raced mountain bike, he's raced on the road, and he's actually quite familiar now with triathlon. So he's gone through all the motions, and he is another veteran cyclist who is actually still in the front group here. He has logged into our Zoom call as well, so maybe we can have a chat to him a little bit later on. Tyler White, I think I saw there. He's a KZN boy from the North Coast, from Belito, if I'm not mistaken. Also a mountain biker, now taking to the road and taking on the virtual racing series. So nice to see so many South Africans getting involved and taken to the start line. Once again, you can donate to the Full Liga Foundation. A portion of the donations go towards the prize pool at the end of the series. We're not quite sure how many races there are in the series, but we're looking at about 4 or 5, or for however long they can carry on. But there is going to be a prize pool, so get your donations in and make that prize pool bigger and better than what it currently is. So yeah, Full Liga to brand ambassador for our foundation, for the race and our foundation and his own foundation. but you can donate on fundyourpassion.co.za. These guys are now almost 26 Ks into the race, so we're almost in the last. Well, we are in the last third, but yeah, we're going.
Is there a group off the front here, Miles, or is
There
this?
is. So this is Coach Nick Portscreen, and he is part of the front group. So he's in 34th place. So I'm guessing there's about 34 riders if you look at that group.
Yeah, it could be quite close.
There's about 34 riders. We got.
See Travis Barrett still in there. There's I saw Tyron Philander's name, also a youngster from, I think he's also from Cape Town. Kent Main in there, Brad Veras, JP Lloyd. There's definitely, we're looking at either something interesting taking place or, considering this is correct me if I'm wrong, 32-kilometer ride, we don't have that long left in order to try something. Most of these guys would be on the rivet already and just making sure that they stay in contact and save a little bit of pennies in the bank, for probably the last 200-300 meters, to finish it off. I see we got some communication in from Dylan Girdlestone, who's the captain of the Office Under 23 racing. Probably the biggest moaner that you'll come across in South African bike racing. Unfortunately, his Zwift avatar wasn't putting up with him today and wouldn't release him from the start, so he's had a bit of a temper tantrum, asking me if we're falling asleep on the video feed, because he's obviously trying to keep us entertained. But yeah, there's a gentleman that's done a lot for the youth of South African cycling, a guy that has had some studge area rides on big teams in Europe, and he's involved in cycling for the right reasons, and that's to take a guy with good legs and teach him how to race a bicycle, which is probably the hardest thing. There's a lot of guys out there with a lot of good legs, but that extra 5% that you need to educate them in how to apply those legs is probably one of the most difficult things to do in the sport. So yeah, nice to have guys like David Murray, Nolan, Hoffman, Brad Potgieter, guys like that are still involved in the sport, still giving back to the sport, and helping the likes of Office Guru Racing and Pro Touch Continental and Cycle Power, hold these youngsters guys' hands and try to deliver the next batch of talented riders.
Yeah, so I mean, Dylan has a massive CV, has all the experience, ridden on the world stage, ridden in Australia for Drapac, he's ridden for Garmin Sharp, a great talent, and it's great to see him giving back to South African cycling. So this is the front group. We're watching Nick Portscreen. If you're not familiar with the bikes on Zwift, you can see there those glow-in-the-dark bikes. Those are called Tron bikes, and you're actually allowed to get those bikes if you've done a total of 50,000 meters of climbing on the Zwift platform. You can't buy them. There's no shortcuts. You have to go up and down Alpe Zwift. Well, you don't have to, but you have to eventually get 50,000 meters of vertical elevation on your Zwift profile to be able to get those bikes. So there is a slight advantage with the different bikes on Zwift. So the more you ride on Zwift, the more you unlock, and then the more sweat drops you earn by the more you ride. And using your sweat drop currency, depending on what level you're on, you can buy new things, and you can get faster bikes, faster wheels, cool looking kits. So it's quite a gamification of your cycling, which makes this platform so attractive to cyclists. So we're on 29 kilometers. How many South Africans are in that group? I'm not actually sure, but we see a lot of South African flags amongst the few other international flags there. Let's actually go back across to Kent main screen. Let's find him here on the fan view.
See, we still got Kat Fischer in there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's actually the Masters hour world record holder on the track, which he picked up that title towards the end of last year. So a guy that can also finish very, very quickly. Jonathan, I think his name's Jonathan Bauer. He's one of the track riders, a youngster also, I think from Cape Town. Also got a massive sprint on him and a quick finish. And a winner could come from anybody in this group. Miles, with regards to the series, we obviously only take South African riders. Is that correct?
Yeah, only South African riders. Only South African riders. No international riders allowed to be part of the South African series. So what we do is, or what the guys who handle the results, they actually filter out all the international riders that finish in the top 10. So points awarded to the top 10 male and female rider, and that's going to get calculated over a whole series. So Kent Main is currently in 9th position, so he's right up there for the finish. We're coming into the finish now, under 2 kilometers to go. These guys are at 30.3 kilometers at the moment, going at 55 k an hour. It's coming down to a sprint. I know you mentioned Gert Verschier, who's the hour record holder, but can he sprint? That's another question. I know Travis Stedman, the junior cyclist.
Travis Stedman can sprint.
He can definitely sprint.
David Maria moving up through the group. He's moved up into the first 10.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to definitely be an exciting finish. I think the hardest thing is obviously when you're sitting at 50 k's an hour, in order to start a sprint, it's not like a traditional road race where you start to build up towards the 50 k mark. These guys have been sitting at nearly 50 k's an hour for 36 minutes already. So to ask those legs to react, to get your bike up to 60, 65 kilometers an hour is going to be a big ask. But the guys can definitely get there, and I think it's going to be the guy that times it the best that's going to win, and not necessarily the guy with the best sprint. There is some tactical know-how in finishing Zwift racing, and apparently it's a lot easier to go out from the front than to try and come from the back, but you've got to be able to hold those watts for a long time. So it's going to be an exciting finish, and by the looks of things, we're in the last kilometer already.
Yeah, we're very close to it. This is David Murray's screen. No doubt he is going to be somewhere up there. He knows how to hide away. The slipstreaming effect on Zwift is taken into account. So if the riders are hiding in behind each other, they are going to experience that slipstream effect. But David Murray, he's now up in front here. He's in the top 5. He's in 5th place at the moment. They're coming to the finishing line now. It's very, very close.
Travis Stedman's
up there.
He's coming up on him.
Oh, this is exciting. This is very, very close. Where's Kent Main? I'm sure he's in that group there. Who I don't see is our national champion, Ryan Gibbons from the World Tour Cyclist NTT, Ryan Gibbons from NTT's World Tour Cycling Team. But this is coming to finish. I think they have a couple of 100 meters to go. I think it's 32.4 Ks is the finish line. But Travis Stedman, David Murray, Ken Main, these are all guys to look out for. A few vet cyclists as well. Coach Nick Port's up there as well. You can see there David getting a ride on, a thumbs up. But we're in the closing stages of today's race. I think they're in the distance. That is the finish line.
Can we possibly look for somebody further up just to get, or a side view, Miles, just so we can get a different profile of what the guys are seeing?
That's the side view. That's the...
We've got David kind of hovering in the first 10. He was up to 4th. Now he's gone down a little bit, down to 7th, 9th.
This is his actual helmet view at the moment. So he's right up there. David is in 4th place. So this is the front of the race. This is where we're going to be mixing it up. I can actually just find out exactly for you how many Ks there is to go.
See David Garrett still up there.
Kent, how many Ks is there to go left?
3.5.
3.5 Ks?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we're incorrect. It wasn't 32 Ks. We actually have 3.5 Ks to go. So let's bring Kent up on the screen there. You can see him on the game. Kent, you're live. Say hello to our viewers in the last 3 Ks. I know you're not wanting to speak, but what you got to say in the last 3 Ks? We're watching David Murray's screen at the moment. You got to get on his wheel there, bud.
I think I'm ahead of him.
Yeah.
So good.
I think he's knowing. I think David knows he needs to watch you.
Really, really fast start. Settled down a bit in the beginning, in the middle, and now as we approach the finish, it's getting pretty nervous at the front.
Okay, well, good luck. We're going to be watching you. Give it some stick.
I wouldn't put your money on me for the sprint.
No, I'm going to.
I think my top 3 would be Peter Avenant, maybe JP Lloyd, David Murray, and then like a dark horse, maybe Gaveris.
There we go. So there's Kent Main's prediction. So don't put your money on Kent. We've lost all faith in them. Thanks. We'll chat to you just now.
Cool. 2.5 Ks.
I see we got Dylan Geary also up there. Also a hell of a good track youngster coming through the ranks on the track scene. But yeah, there's anyone that could win this race. There's some big names in there. There's some old names in there. It's nice to see that everybody's taken to the series and exciting to line up. And although there's not much racing available, it looks like the kind of racing that is available is of a good quality.
Yeah, so what are we like? Probably in the last 2Ks now. We can't see how far there's to go, but I think we had
2Ks to go.
2Ks. Thanks.
2Ks, yeah.
2Ks to go. So still looking at Dover's screen there. He's in the top 10. Ken Main, he's also up there. I think Ken's prediction was kind of spot on. Travis Steadman was someone who Kent didn't mention, but JP Lloyd's a very good sprinter. Peter Alvermaet. He's a veteran cyclist who's very familiar with the Zwift platform. He rides almost every day and races every day on the platform, so he's no stranger. He was part of a series that when lockdown started, he actually ended up winning the Zwift series. So I think he's very involved in the Ace Cycles team time trial as well. So all these riders very familiar and know exactly how to race on this platform. But we're coming very close to the finish now. Who's up there? David Murray. I think this is a good screen to watch. Travis Steadman up there, JP Lloyd's up there, Peter Alvermaet. Who else can we see? D. Geary, I'm sure.
Dylan Geary, yeah.
Dylan Geary, isn't he a junior cyclist?
He is. He is currently a junior cyclist. Jonathan Bauer, who's a strong track rider from Cape Town.
Glamorous.
1K to go. We have gone under the 1K to go mark. Dalvin right up there, 6th place. I think this is a good screen to watch. If there's another screen to watch, Jamie, you must let me know.
I think this is it. You're going to see. It's not somebody up the road there trying their luck. Yep.
Dalvin, I think he's sitting in the wheels. Yeah, he's fallen down to 21st position. But this is him. He's trying to break away. I think he started his sprint early. He's in 3rd position there. He's going off the front. This could be our race winner, David Murray. All riders going to come around him.
Putting out just over 7 watts a kilo. It's going to be
another very light rider.
Very difficult to hold that for an extended period of time.
I think he's blowing. I think people are coming around him. Who's it going to be? Come, Ken Main. Where are you, Kent?
Kent's sitting there. It looks like he's in
I'm sure he's in there. I think he can't breathe at the moment. So.
I think it's also difficult to judge with these Zwift races. On a traditional sprint, you can see the finish coming, and you can see a finish line where it creeps up on you, and before you know it, the balloon's over the sky and the race is over.
Goveris just went out of spin there. I think he.
You're obviously coming up on a group of fun riders, so there's going to be a lot of traffic in the road, which makes it even more difficult to figure out which rider is which.
Yeah, so I think this is still David's screen. I think the race is. I think it's done, man.
Ken, can you give us a bit of feedback there? We haven't seen a finish line other than a dot across the road.
Brad Gaveris first.
Brad Gaveris won.
Second.
Sorry, who was second?
Tyron White.
Okay.
A rider from Kinetic. David Murray was up there. Geary was up there. Steadman. Jans van der Bank, Peter Alvermaet, JP Lloyd, Travis Barrett, Nigiri, Hofmeyer, and I finished 17th. So told you not to put the money on me.
Well done. We're going to make your screen bigger. Put you on screen here. Let's turn off the Zwift game. Let's zoom you in here. Yeah, so there we have it. So that was kind of a mixed bunch of riders there. A few guys from Cape Town, a few local riders. You finished in 17th place, but Brad Gaveris taking home first place. How are you feeling there?
Yeah, that was a big effort. I mean, for 43 minutes, I averaged 5 watts a kg, and I finished 17th. So the level is high. The winner, Brad Gaveris, you can see it's also got a bit of skill to it because he was 4.8 watts per kg. So it's not all power based. Got to get your skill, your Zwift skill up as well. But all the numbers are around 5 watts per kg. Heart rates, there's some high heart rates here, 187 average for the rider from Kinetic. So yeah, very, very tough.
No, well done. Well done. So Brad Gaveris, can you just run us through the top 5?
Kent, which rider from Kinetic was it? Can you get a surname there?
It's Jay Bauer.
Jay,
Bauer,
okay.
B-O-U-W-E-R.
Yeah, I think he's one of the guys who's actually who made the South African track team to go to Worlds. So yeah, he's got a quick finish on him, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Miles said earlier, Peter Avenant's not a slouch in this type of racing, and he was 10th. So guys definitely did a good effort in the end there. Fast race.
Yeah, it's actually the big power riders who are quite good at this type of racing. And I think it's also I think the Zwift racing and this online virtual racing is another format of racing. I don't think you can compare it to races on the road or climbing races or time trials. I think it should be put in its own category. What do you think as a rider who kind of does all of them?
So yeah, like you said, I think spot on. It's not going to replace road cycling or mountain biking or anything like that, but it's an added discipline now. So cycling has so many disciplines. This is just another one of those. And it's perfect for a time like this. People want something to watch and something to do. Gives you that. It does have a few difficulties that I think they're still got to work around. Obviously, people's power meters are calibrated differently. People at altitude, people at sea level. But yeah, it's definitely exciting. Well, as far as I find.
So Ryan Gibbons took to the start line. You think he was having an easy day? You're quite good friends with him. What happened to him? I think he's in the gruppetto.
So yeah, I'm not actually sure. I see a few messages coming through on my phone now as you say that. Maybe he just was overpowered and underprepared for this event. He did just finish the Zwift Tour for All. His team ended up winning that, so maybe he's a little bit tired and needs to have another bit of a rest before he takes us on next week.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kent.
Cool. Good job.
Before we start logging off, I think a little bit of shout out to Ace Cycles, to Manuel behind Ace Cycles, that's kind of on a social aspect started putting together competitive individual and team time trials on a Tuesday morning. Some of the guys going off when it's still dark, so they haven't quite realized that virtual racing can take place a lot later in the day and you're not affected by the sun. But yeah, between the guys from Ace Cycles and obviously the brains and the mentorship program behind Support SA Talent, putting this opportunity together, and you know, I can only see the start list growing from strength to strength. There's a lot of South African riders, a lot of good South African riders that are missing from the start sheet. Hopefully they've been watching this evening, getting some tips, getting an idea of who are the names to watch for in the series, and we see the start list grow from strength to strength every week.
Yeah, we're also learning. We're trying to make things bigger and better. So the guys from Ace Cycles doing the Team Time Trial Series, they've been doing an incredible job. But us from our side, we're learning, and we have been trying to get better every week. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we're hoping to make it bigger and better and find new ways to expose South African road cycling. Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Miles. Thanks for strange setup, obviously crossing over virtually, but we managed to get it right, and thank goodness for the internet. It makes things easier.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao,
Thanks
ciao.
for tuning in.
Ciao.
Shucks.
Which have started to stream into our foundation. The last time I checked, we've already passed the 20,000 Rand mark, and that's just this afternoon. I'm really sorry I can't be with you tonight commentating, as the signal up here where I'm based near Palabora is, to say the least, not very strong. But I'm going to hand you capable Miles Van Mush to get on the road. Over to you, Miles.